Good morning, guys. Here we are, Science Bellwork, Week 2, Day 3, continuing to read up on and discuss how a thermos works. Focused on conduction and insulators the first couple days. Today we're going to focus on vacuum and what allows that to be a good insulator, especially when it comes to a thermos. So follow along as I read through the passage and then we'll go over the responses. While air is a good insulator, a vacuum is even better. That is because in a vacuum, heat cannot be transferred by convection. Remember that convection is the transfer of heat by movement of a gas or a liquid. Since there is no air in the space between the walls of a thermos bottle, convection of heat does not occur. In fact, another name for a thermos is a vacuum bottle. Many devices utilize a vacuum. For example, foods that are vacuum packed are sealed with a vacuum in order to keep air from touching the food and spoiling it. On the other hand, despite its name, a vacuum cleaner doesn't actually contain a vacuum, but it does create one by pulling air through it when it is turned on. So Part A wants us to write true or false for each of the following statements. Convection cannot take place in a vacuum. Well, if we look in the second sentence here, it says heat cannot be transferred by convection because it's in a vacuum, so that would be true. Number 2, a vacuum cleaner creates conduction when it is turned on. So if we look at the bottom here, it says, on the other hand, despite its name, a vacuum cleaner doesn't actually contain a vacuum, but it does create one by pulling air through it when it is turned on. Mentions nothing about conduction, so number 2 is false. Number 3, the space between the thermos walls contains a vacuum. Well, if we look in here in the diagram, also through the passage, it says that at the very beginning in the first paragraph, we see that there is a vacuum between the two thermos walls. So that would be true. Number 4, a vacuum is a good conductor. Well, if you look at the first sentence, while air is a good insulator, a vacuum is even better. Mentions nothing about vacuum being a good conductor. We know that a vacuum is a good insulator, though, so number 4 would also be false. And Part B wants us to use words from the passage to complete the sentences. Some foods are packed within a blank to keep air out. Well, if we look back in here, in that second paragraph, it says foods that are vacuum packed are sealed with a vacuum. We would put vacuum right here in number 1 in that blank space. And number 2, blank requires the movement of a gas or a liquid. Well, movement of a gas or a liquid, we know that is convection. Remember, convection is the transfer of heat by movement of a gas or liquid. There you have it, Science Bellwork Week 2, Day 3. Make sure you guys make corrections if need be, and I hope you guys have a good day.